Shalom, call halal Yahweh Shem Shai, Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all our fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. Salutations to all my fellow laborers, the Akim, the Confusion of Faith brothers joined unto our ranks, to the Yakwaf, the hopeful elect. To you I say Shalom. Disclaimer, disregard subtitles when you're watching GMS videos, or the subtitles do not reflect the true words of what's said in the videos. We are the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, by blood, by race, according to the relics, according to history, according to the scriptures. And the Israelites make up primarily Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the confusion of faith, our people which are scattered among the heathen nations. Among all the heathen nations will be found Israelites, for the Israelites got scattered to the four corners of the earth among all nations. And there are too many scriptures to substantiate that. For anyone to refute it or say something that's completely not biblical and not historical, just some foolish, personal opinions. This video is called the End of Everything Bubble. And the end of everything bubble is going to usher in what the Bible refers to as the mark of the beast, which is found in Revelation 13 chapter. So I'm going to open with that. This lesson isn't only about the mark of the beast, but the mark of the beast must be spoken about and taught about. All right, and this is Revelation 13. And I'm started at 16. And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads. Their machines set up at Walmarts that have the place for your right hand to slide in. And if you're missing your right hand, you can put your forehead. And these are like some sort of medical machines which you can sit in. All right? The mark of the beast is real. That word mark is charagma, which simply means to insert something, to make an incision and insert something. All right? And there are countries and nations and places, including America, that have this technology and are using it where they are making an incision and inserting a microchip to where you can buy, sell, trade. Open, closed doors, locked doors, turn on computers, all that. This is what they want to do. And this was prophesied in the Bible thousands of years before it happened. And now that day is here. At the same time you're looking at the scales on the screen. As false paper money is beginning to be revealed to be just that. You see on the other scale, gold and silver, which is and always will be real currency. And a lot of Americans, foolish Americans, are coming to the realization of that as we get closer and closer to this thing. Even gold and silver jewelry will be worth something when this thing happens. You may be able to use a chain to get a room for the night, or to buy your way out of a bad situation, or get some food or water or something, to barter with someone. Gold and silver is going to be very sought after. Once this and the death of this dollar is going to usher in this chip. So let's continue. Verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. 666. And the man who came up with this technology, the number of letters in his name was 666. He had 6 in his first name, 6 in his middle name, and 6 in his last name, and he was an Edomite. All right, and he even admitted when he did it that he knew that this had to be talking about the mark of the beast. All right. So without any further ado, just take heed before I play the video. Let me back up a little bit. That anyone who teaches and tells you that the mark of the beast is ideology, it's it's Christianity or anything of that nature, you know, that it's an idea or it's an embargo, that's foolishness, because you can't buy and sell a trade with an embargo. That's madness. For anyone to say that, they're completely uneducated and not apt to teach, even though they may have the title of teacher or something to that nature. So it's not a way of life, and it's not Christianity. You cannot go buy and sell and trade with Christianity. Okay, you cannot go buy and sell and trade with philosophy. So it's not a philosophy. You can't walk into the grocery store and buy something with philosophy. So people that are teaching that clearly do not know the scriptures, or they completely sold out. And what we're about to watch is going to help expedite the mark of the beast, to bring it on.
I think the market would crash. I think everybody would be very poor.
The closing numbers on the markets today. At one point, the market fell.
Apple shares are just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally across these markets. Let's talk about the speed with which we are watching this market deteriorate.
There's a very good chance that there will be a stock market crash of historic proportions before the end of Trump's first term.
Hey, look, the stock market crashed 3 times within 1 month, man. If that's not a sign, and during the Christmas holidays, and this stock market was going on right now, this is the worst since 1931. And we all know what happened in 1929, 1930. All right, a lot of Edomites were swan diving out of their high-rise apartments downtown Chicago and New York, and any other places, any other major cities where they could find a high enough building to jump from. Okay.
That's because the Federal Reserve current rate hiking cycle, which started in 2015, is set to pop the everything bubble. To start, the Fed encourages malinvestment by suppressing interest rates lower than their natural levels. This leads companies to invest in plants, equipment, and other capital assets that only appear profitable because borrowing money is extremely cheap.
So what that means is it's going to be impossible for you to buy, to borrow money if you don't have top-notch credit, which is a joke, because now with this debt, I think every person in the world is $86,000 in debt because of the debt that men like the man on the screen or Bernanke,
every Fed rate hiking
men like him put into place. All right, and so you got all these people that are in debt, and what happens is your interest rates are going to rise, and if you're on a fixed income, all right, which most people are, because the majority of people work paycheck to paycheck, and if they have somewhat decent or even good credit, they make up that void in between with credit, and then they make payments on their credit. All right, what that means is that they're not going to be able to afford to use their credit anymore, and all the things that they have loans on the interest rates are going to spike to where they can't pay it. So if they have a car, a couple cars, if they have a house, and if they use it, so now they're not going to be able to substantiate their way of life. That's what he said. That's what that means in layman terms for you who don't understand this type of talk.
A crisis. Sometimes it starts abroad, but it always filters back to the U.S. markets. Specifically, 16 of the last 19 times the Fed started a series of interest rate hikes, some sort of crisis that tanked the stock market followed. That's about 84% of the time, which are pretty good numbers. A few examples of the Fed interest rate fluctuations that led to crashes were in 1929, 1987, 2000, and 2008. Throughout the 1920s, the Federal Reserve easy money policies helped create an enormous stock market bubble. In August 1929, the Fed raised interest rates and effectively ended the easy credit. Only a few months later, the bubble burst on Black Tuesday. The Dow lost over 12% that day. It signaled the beginning of what we all consider to be the Great Depression. In February 1987, the Fed decided to tighten by withdrawing.
During the Great Depression, a lot of people died and there was a lot of suicides. And this one is going to be worse, and people in America are heavily armed, heavily strung out on drugs, both medicated and illegal. And when you get these people who are on these meds, these psychosis meds, they cannot get them. or just some desperate father who needs to get, insulin for his wife or his daughter. When the chaos and the, oh man, you have no idea. This is Ezekiel 28 and verse 5, and it reads, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thy heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore, because, saith Yahweh power, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of power, behold, I will bring these strangers upon thee, and terrible of nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. And these nations are angry with America because all these things that are going to happen here, and a lot of these places are already happening. And you best believe the nations are getting in a position to pose themselves against America. Many already are. And a lot of them are just playing the neutral role until the time comes. And they're going to side with Russia, China, and all the other nations that are joining unto them and their banking system. Right? Which doesn't matter because the Lord's going to destroy them and put them down too. But they are going to come against America and annihilate and destroy America. Thus saith the scripture. That's the prophecy. Okay? Next scripture is Ecclesiastes 12 and 4. 3 and 4. And it reads, and in the day the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders shall cease because they are few, and they shall look out the windows, and it shall be dark, and meaning their future, their hope. And every other financial expert is saying prepare, prep, get ready, get gold, get silver, and all this sort of thing. The G's, what is it? Guns, gold, grub, meaning food, and the gas, and I forget the other. Right, the G's. I think it's 5 G's. I forget the all 5 of them. So this is what you're being warned to do. The Department of Homeland Security just put out a notice to American citizens to prepare for 6 months of darkness. All right. Meaning you're gonna have to have 6 months of food and water to take care of yourself, to sustain yourself. And I guarantee you, it's probably less than 5% of the nations is ready for such a thing. So when that happens, it's just gonna be a chaos and a bloodbath in the streets of America, no matter where you are. And some of the worst places are gonna be the rural places. I mean, it's gonna be bloodbaths in the cities, but a lot of these rural places that think they're safe, they're gonna turn on each other, just like the scripture says, neighbor against neighbor.
On liquidity from the market. This pushed interest rates up. They continued to tighten until Black Monday crash in October of that same year, when the S&P 500 lost 33% of its value. At that point, the Fed quickly reversed its course and started easing again. Next, we have the tech bubble between 1995 and 2000. Greenspan's next rate hike cycle helped to puncture the tech bubble, which was also inflated with easy money. After the tech bubble burst, the S&P 500 was cut in half. The end of the tech bubble caused an economic downturn. Alan Greenspan's Fed responded by dramatically lowering interest rates again. This new easy money ended up flowing into the housing market. Then in 2004, the Fed embarked on another rate hiking cycle. The higher interest rates made it impossible for many Americans to service their mortgage debts. This resulted in the subprime meltdown in the 2008 financial crisis. So here we are today, the everything bubble. It looks like everything is all set for another crisis. As you probably know, the Fed responded to the 2008 financial crisis with unprecedented amounts of easy money as well. Think of the trillions of dollars in money printing programs euphemistically called quantitative easing, and there were 3 rounds of that. At the same time, the Fed,
which is the only thing that kept America from falling and making us right, because it continued because of quantitative easing, but they're not able to do that anymore. You see the printing press and how the money's just popping off.
The lowest they've been in the entire history of the United States of America. Allegedly, the Fed did this all to save the economy. In other words,
so like this imposter claiming the heritage of the Israelites on the screen, it's all gonna come to naught. And why? This last scripture. This is Psalm 62 and 9. Surely men of low degree are vanity. And no, Salakia meant to read verse 10. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. And Esau set all his heart upon riches, which have no they have no gain because because it's all going away. It's all failing. His system failed. All right, his gold is cankered. It's corrupted. And the whole world is turning against him, and no one wants to deal with the petrodollar anymore. So with that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. Call halal Yahweh Shad by Hashem Rakakwadash. Wa Abba Babal. Shalom.